Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to the channel. I just wanted to give you guys a quick review on God of War Ragnarok, which was one of the biggest games of the year in 2022. For those of you who haven't played it at all or are still on the fence about getting the game, I did platinum this game and have about 70 hours in it. All gameplay was captured on PS5. This time we take a dive into Norse mythology, where Kratos and Atreus are on a new adventure, where they try and change some pretty big prophecies. First off, I wanted to say how beautiful the game is. It probably has the best graphics out of almost any PS5 game. So there are 9 different realms to travel and explore, all with their own stunning visuals. The story is amazing. It just adds on to what was an already great storyline from the 2018 God of War, where it puts Thor and Odin in a struggle against Kratos and Atreus. You take a look into 2 different perspectives while you control Atreus, and he gets a taste of how the grass isn't always greener on the other side. There's been a family feud brewing for quite a while, since Kratos and Atreus are the ones who killed Thor's 2 sons. So of course the Norse gods more than likely have a problem with that, and seem to be looking for some kind of revenge. While the story has a lot of drama and on the edge of your seat moments, there are quite a bit of laughs and some great jokes in the game. Kratos even gets picked on and made fun of every so often.
Kratos speaks first.
I seek my son.
Alright, now jumping into the combat. I was really pleased with all the tweaks they made from the last game in 2018. It's an action-adventure game where you mainly use Kratos to fight off various hordes of enemies. You still control Atreus or whoever might be your partner at the time and have them attack when you want them to shoot their bow, and it does take a little getting used to by pressing R1 and R2 for Kratos' light and heavy attacks, but after a few hours it becomes second nature. Not to mention the finishers are still as brutal as ever. Kratos does get a new weapon. It's a spear and it's really fun to use. His shield becomes more versatile than in previous games. You can use it offensively and even break some enemies' guards or interrupt their attacks with your shield and leave them momentarily stunned to deal some big damage. Kratos is a lot easier to move around now. I feel like his dodge is really smooth and I can get out of the way of an opponent's attack most of the time. Let's not forget all the health shards that drop on the ground after defeating an enemy if you need to replenish your health. They've also added some elemental stuff where you can get hit with Bifrost, poison, fire, and ice, also meaning you can inflict the same status elements on your opponents as well. And of course the Blades of Chaos are fire and his axe is ice. Some of the mini-bosses are very enjoyable and have some combat puzzles to figure out, and some of the fights which really breaks up the old school hack and slash and kind of mindless button spam. You do get a few chances to control Atreus by himself. Even though the combat is similar, there are some differences. He has his bow that he can smack people with and of course shoot arrows from a distance. His dodging is a little smoother and he has a sword that acts as your companion and you can have it attack your enemies. Just like Kratos, Atreus has runic attacks, where he can summon various animals to help him out when you're in a bind. The boss battles are amazing and some of the best I've ever seen. They are over the top whether you're fighting a dragon or a Norse god. I was always sure to save up my rage meters for those big encounters. You can choose whether you want your rage to heal you or go for an all-out attack, or somewhere in between. In some of the bigger fights, you'll get cutscenes during the fight and stay on your toes because you'll be right back to fighting in no time. One of my favorite parts about this game is they added some RPG elements into the game, such as crafting different gear and upgrading your weapons. Different attachments give you different stat boosts and sometimes have added benefits, such as a stun blast, so there are countless ways to build out Kratos depending on your playstyle. There is a ton of stuff to do to keep you busy besides the main story. You can run around all the different realms looking for artifacts, poems, and other rare items that you can sell. If you read everything, it really tells you a lot about the lore. Or you can find and throw your axe at Odin's ravens and send them back to their own realm. There are 48 ravens to find and capture. You can open chests periodically depending on how many ravens you have found, and destroyed, unlocking rare armor sets, runic attacks, and if you find all of them, you get to fight with the Raven Keeper. After you collect the last item in the chest, she gets pretty upset for you bringing all the ravens back. You might even find another surprise trying to kill her.
But instead, they became something greater, something magnificent. They mattered to the All-Father, and they mattered to me!
There are a ton of different creatures you will meet along your way in the 9 realms, some friendly, some very hostile. They are all visually stunning. There's a lot of creatures you can rescue, but you have to make sure you pay attention to what Kratos and Atreus are talking about, or you can miss some interesting side quests. Saving some of the creatures will even unlock more areas to explore, so try not to skip out on too much and explore as much as you can. If you want to go straight to the story, you can still come back and finish up all your side quests at the end of the game. To meet and rescue some of these guys, you might have to complete a pretty complex dungeon or wander around all the realms looking for them, but trust me, the rewards and the experience are all well worth it.
She knew the tears were closed, and there's no reward for closing them, I'm afraid. Well, then I wouldn't advise staying. She is a corpse eater after all.
Now I'm going to get into the more tedious parts about the game. There's a lot of times you have to line up sigil arrows and set the magic on fire to burn some brush or wood that's in the way. I found it pretty often that I couldn't get them lined up correctly, and the chest would contain something valuable such as a health or rage meter boost, so I'd find myself sitting there for longer than I wanted to just to try and get the perfect angle or place the arrows in the right location. They also stuck with the design where it takes Kratos a long time to squeeze through a small crack with the game while the game loads. They just kind of use an old trick we are used to and have seen in the last game. And the same thing goes with giant fallen tree or a pillar that is blocking the way. Kratos has to come and take his time lifting it up so your companion could pass. It just feels like we've seen it before and not much has changed there. And the game isn't without its glitches either. Towards the end of the game, a dragon is supposed to fly down and fight you, but he gets stuck in an endless loop flying in circles and won't attack. It can be very frustrating for people who want to platinum the game because you have to kill all the dragons, and this was my last one. Thankfully, I was able to find a workaround where you keep hitting him with the spears and he falls off the edge eventually, and he flies off the map and he dies. But there are my thoughts on the game. I really enjoyed the storyline and the combat. There was rarely a dull moment when I was playing. Every time I played, I was always trying to get to the next big boss fight or progress more in the story for answers. I even got lost a few times exploring this beautiful world, looking for artifacts or figuring out some puzzle to open some Nornir chests. I was obsessed with getting stronger so I could take on some of the hardest bosses such as the Berserkers or Na during the endgame. But if you haven't tried the game, hopefully this review will give you a little insight into what you might expect. And if you have played this game, leave a comment down below and let me know what you thought of it. But until next time, guys, we'll see you around.